Women of Reddit, what is the hardest thing to explain to a man? My hair will literally end up everywhere. And there's not a damn thing I can do to control. It just sheds. This is an easy thing to understand for guys who have had long hair at some point in their life. I used to as a teenager into my early 20s, and my house looked like I had several pets with long fur. I owned no pets. Period pain can be debilitating to the point of being bedbound. Exactly why I hate religious assholes that want to deny me treatment for my medical condition. It's almost like they want me to be a non-functioning member of society so that I have to rely on a man. Before I got my IUD, I was useless 1 week a month. I've passed out multiple times and the pain and fatigue is unbearable. When I was trying to get pregnant, I had to explain to my guy every single freaking month about ovulation and when is an optimal time and how the whole thing works. You can understand particle physics, but you can't fathom an egg traveling down a tube? Sorry. That might have been me needing to vent. That's school biology. Though. The issue wasn't that he was a man. It was that he's just dumb. Striking hard during sex is not proportional to more pleasure. Just because you have a big DCK does not mean you really know how to fuck. Yeah. Getting the cervix hit is really painful. That when we share a problem with you, we may not be asking you to fix it for us. Commiserate. Provide emotional support. A hug when I'm upset goes a long way. Then offer suggestions if she seems open to them. That plenty of us don't care about being sexually attractive to men and that there's nothing wrong with us for not caring. E.g. Female bodybuilders aren't under the misunderstanding that most men are attracted to extremely muscled women. It's not why they do it. This isn't the hardest. But the other things I thought of have been covered. So. That nothing all that exciting is going on in the women's John. Nobody is flashing their genitalia. Nobody is summoning demons in a magic circle. There are private stalls. People pee and poop. People wash their hands. Maybe touch up their makeup and hair. And GTFO. No one wants to be in there any longer than they have to. The reason it seems like we take forever in there is that architects don't build enough women's stalls and because we have to remove more clothing to pee. That's it. You can't hold in a period like pee. Just tell them it's like if their nose is bleeding. Can't f***ing stop it without sticking a piece of cloth in it. Edit. Can't f***ing stop it without continuously sticking pieces of cloth in it. Period cramps. Men seem to think that they're not that bad when women complain about them, despite some women, like me, having crippling pain from them, and seem to think that women are just weaker to pain despite having a biologically higher tolerance for pain. I feel like explaining them as really bad gas cramps helps. Like if you've ever had gas that makes you feel like your insides are turning inside out or maybe melting. That's pretty close to what bad cramps feels like. How not being able to find something to wear gives me genuine anxiety, and when I say I have nothing to wear, it's actually based on the fact that I am not emotionally prepared or confident enough to wear the clothes that I own right now. Lol. Or my fat ass problem. That I can't fit in most of my clothes. I got a higher paying job about 2 years ago. Thinking it was gonna be awesome because I didn't have to work my ass off anymore. Yay. I really miss my old job because I got all my exercise there. And I've learned that I really hate exercise when it's not work related. If my nipples are hard, I am probably not turned on. Probably I'm just cold. Men have nipples too. Why would they think this? My nipples get hard at the slightest breeze. Well, one of them does anyway. It's very annoying. The feeling of being outside alone at night and tightly gripping your purse when you see a man walking behind you. What is the best way to make a woman feel safer? I usually just opt to stop for a little and let her get some distance, or I just make some noise and say excuse me and basically run past her. That your looks, height, weight, lack of funds, etc. is not the reason why you are not successful with women. The whole period experience. Cramps, tender breasts, feeling emotional, anger and craving junk food. It's just a roller coaster. I would argue that it's not a roller coaster. Because those are at least fun. When we say misogyny or toxic masculinity, we are referring to societal standards that hurt both men and women. Toxic masculinity is the idea that men always have to be strong, stoic, which hurts men, who also have emotions. Toxic masculinity also refers to the idea that men are breadwinners, while women do domestic chores, which hurt women who want to pursue male-dominated careers. However, toxic masculinity does not mean all men are toxic. Both genders, or just all people, are flawed in different ways. Toxic masculinity is not a personal flaw but a systemic and cultural one. The clitoris is not a doorbell. Stop pressing it like one. This assumes they can even find it. However, close bracket. Show them where it is so. Communication is a key part of making love. If you have a problem with that, then why bother making love so? This has been mentioned several times already, but I'll add a twist. Endometriosis and PMDD. Our hormones and pain can be debilitating. Y'all. That not every woman out there making false allegations of rape, sexual harassment against men, and much of sexual harassments faced actually doesn't get reported to law enforcement. That actually, I do know what I'm talking about. And I do know what I'm doing. It's exhausting having everyone always assume you're dumb and incompetent unless you personally prove to them you're twice as good as anyone else, and even then, the impression of competence can be instantly revoked if you mess up one time. And God help you if you're trying to learn something women are perceived as bad at, and you actually suck at it since you're, a total beginner. That a cold is not going to kill you and that I am not your mother. No childbearing woman without an epidural knows the true meaning of pain and illness until they've simultaneously been a man and had a minor head cold. My male boss. To me. We are both objins. Lol. If something is affecting your so and you shrug it off. But then same problem affects you and it's suddenly a big deal. You lack empathy. If you expect more from your so than you are willing to give, you're gonna have a bad time. That's just good advice for anyone no matter what gender. That the smallest things really matter. If she can't trust you with something small, then definitely she won't with something big or more serious. It's the little thing that matters. Every little act of affection and thoughtfulness. Those are the significant things. That unwanted attention from a man feels the same to a female as unwanted male attention does to a straight male. It is not worse for a straight guy to be hit on by a guy. Whether it's flirting, catcalling, sexual harassment, or groping. It is literally the same feeling we get when it happens to us. Doesn't matter if we are attracted to men in general. If it's someone we don't want attention from, I promise you that it is every bit as bad for us as it is for you. Arguably it is worse because usually we are weaker physically and less able to defend ourselves. That when we have the talk with our mothers, learning about puberty isn't just about things changing. It was about how men will look at us differently and how our pay culture is a thing. I was told walking alone at night was dangerous and society expects me to protect myself or I am asking for it. I was told that our pay was more of a when not if. And if I am abused it'll likely be someone I trust. Or even a relative. Possibly someone I love. That breast milk is for your baby not them. My suffering is immeasurable and my day is ruined. Some women prefer to be single and child free. Women are not programmed to be a man's slave. I wouldn't want to have kids either. And I'm a dude. Not specific to men. But a lot of men are guilty of this. I shouldn't have to ask you to help out or do chores. You should just know to help out and do chores. 100% agree. You live in the house. You can see where it needs to be cleaned, maintained, etc. So you should be able to take care of it without having to be asked. How he is directly displaying misogyny. Misogyn were. They get defensive and or shut down 9 times out of 10. Some men are dismissive. Some feel attacked. Most deny and attempt to discredit. And some even threaten violence. I'll never forget I asked a man to refer to women as such instead of saying females. as it is dehumanizing. And he got in my face and threatened to beat me up. That pregnancy really sucks. It is nothing like what is portrayed in movies. It is different every time too. Can never know what to expect. Sometimes we are scared to say what is wrong because some guys don't understand the problem. Or just ignores what has been said. Edit. What I meant is I don't come forward with my problems to any male friends or family mail. Because I find it that my brother either doesn't understand or doesn't care. And we don't have the best past and it might be affected by that. I usually talk about stuff more to my sister than anyone in my inner circle of friends family. All the comments trying to mansplain back to women on this thread, and all the men working really hard to pick apart and discredit women's statements. And all the men saying not all men and we actually have it worse. Almost all the comments have at least one of these under it. Listen. Acknowledge. We're not making it up. We live this every day. Edit. Just wanted to let you know now that some man decided to grace me with his presence here. In the way I wrote about that I don't feel so left out now. That being conditioned your whole life to only express emotion in violent outbursts is FKU, but it's still your responsibility to act like an adult and learn to feel. Go to therapy. Stop treating the women and fam in your life like free therapy when you do not reciprocate the same emotional labor. That our skirts is not an invitation. But they don't seem to understand that. Aisha Erotica was right when she said, I do it for the girls and the gays. That's it. Double quote. Or a broader point. 90% of the time. We dress for ourselves and no one else, certainly not for the men around us. That shaving your vagina completely bald is much harder than it looks. Bro, even imagining having a vagina and trying to shave is hurting my balls. Safety concerns. Men can't fathom having to carefully consider your personal safety constantly. My brother has hitchhiked. Slept on the beach for fun. Lived in rough neighborhoods. Walks everywhere at night. Parties with random people he meets. And basically goes wherever he wants. He tried to shame our sister for not moving to Australia to a precarious living situation with no money. Because she should seize the day. Walking alone at night is a calculated risk for us. And can be terrifying. Our default is to not do that if we can avoid it. I once panicked when my brother walked to the shop at night along a deserted forest path. He was fine and didn't get why I was worried. When you've been followed home. Honked at. Had your ass grabbed by strangers etc when walking at night. Yes. It becomes scarier. We've all walked with our keys sticking through our fingers. We've all faked a phone conversation. We've all picked up the pace and glanced behind us walking home at night. It's never not going to be a bit scary for us. Emotional labor. Having to remember all the tasks in a family is work in itself. Having to remember birthdays. Set up appointments. Ask your partner to clean something. Basically being the house manager is so exhausting. So many men just say, well, why doesn't my wife just ask for help? Not realizing that simply having to constantly ask and keep track of things is exhausting and not innate for many women. How careful we have been raised to be. Recently my guy half as a joke I think at first made the female avatar on a game, and that has led to me saying welcome to womanhood so much when he encounters something he questions as, is it always this way? It can't be like this for real, they only act like this because it's a game. Where we want to eat. Try just saying the name of the place. It is not flattering to be told that you look better without makeup. We do makeup that makes us feel confident. Being told that after all of that work, you look even worse. Well, it's pretty annoying. I had to explain to my husband and some of our other guy friends what a rape kit is. And that so often. Police stations don't even process them. They just tuck them away somewhere and say, well, it's really expensive to send them to the lab. It would take a long time to process them. Etc. Double quote. Despite what porn would have you believe, our boobs are quite sensitive and can increase and decrease in sensitivity according to our cycle, and also be different for every woman. You can't just put all your weight on them or slap them around or whatever. Just be conscious they're there. That not all women are the same. Some have light and easy periods without pain. Other ones have to change their tampons every 30 minutes or otherwise they would spread an amount of blood every slaughterhouse would envy. Some getting a lot of help from hormonal birth control. Others could be driven right into depression and absurd physical problems. 2. Never ever talk your girlfriend's problems down because but my ex-sister whoever never had that problem. A lot of us actually really hate dressing up. We hate putting on shape-shifting underwear and dresses and high heels and putting our hair into ridiculous arrangements and spending an hour or more putting on makeup. It's also uncomfortable to wear. And I don't feel empowered because I'm all prettied up at all whenever I have to do it. Just because I look pretty doesn't mean I simply adore wearing that kind of crap. I just want to not feel like a natural human body that's been stuffed into a bud vase and balanced on stilts. First, talking about your feelings doesn't always mean crying. You are allowed to express happiness, anger and love too. Tell your bro that you love him from time to time. Second, just as men cannot read women's thoughts, women don't know what you are thinking. If you want a woman to understand you, talk to them. Actions speak louder than words is BS. Loud equals understandable. Women aren't some hive mind of a species. We are individuals just like men are and we are all human. Get to know the specific woman and find out about her. You'll be surprised probably at how much you have in common. You'll also be surprised at how much he doesn't match the stereotypes. People are individuals. The feeling of taking your bra off after a long day. Have you ever had to wear a life vest? Isn't it easier to move around without it? It's an almost euphoric feeling of taking something off that is binded around your body. It's like taking off hot, sweaty shoes. Except it's around your ribs. Sexual assault is not where the problem starts. For me the problem started when I was around 13 and my uncle started hugging me just a second too long. Looking at me just a little too weird and calling me beautiful just a little too often. It never got worse than that but it also never stopped. Those things that you can't quite tell anyone because they're barely happening. They happen to almost all of the female and female looking people I know and we're all a little traumatized by them. I'm not a woman but thank you to all the wonderful people who are not here just to hate on all guys but here just to share their experiences with guys being ignorant brickheads or they can't grasp the idea of a woman having the same or even worse problems in life. Because I really appreciate these threads as I lived in an area where men were always dominating women and always had the best jobs, houses, lives, etc. And because of this most of the females grew such a hate for males it was crazy but I can see where they come from. This post has really helped me see what his guys need to understand. Thanks. Yeah.